Break out the carrot sticks and natural yogurt, no artificial hormones added. It's time for the Doctor's Nutrition Show. Dr. Lewis and Janet have a long history of helping people achieve their maximum potential. While Janet is a certified natural health consultant with a unique perspective of alternative and complementary nutrition, Dr. Lewis stays current on the latest research pertaining to nutritional supplements and optimum health. Paramount to their educational journey was their trip to China while studying Chinese medical doctors. Dr. Lewis and Janet know the importance of proper nutrition in the healing process and maintenance of the human body. Get ready to gain a healthy perspective on life. This is the Doctor's Nutrition Show.
Hello and welcome to this week's show. I'm Janet Lewis.
And I'm Dr. Lewis.
And we are Doctor's Nutrition of Texas, where we help you with nutritional solutions for your common health issues. We're so glad you have joined us today. We are trying to start the new year, which Happy New Year, by the way, with a new show called New Year, New You, Really? So, we're going to see, well, what happens with that, because so many people get excited about weight loss and New Year's resolutions, and that's absolutely outstanding, and we see it every year, and we're just thrilled to help them along their journey trying to obtain success with their health, and we just hope they continue it throughout the new year, past January, and stick with it, which is why Dr. Lewis is going to talk to us today about some of the things that would help you stick with a plan and help you achieve your health goals for this new year.
You know, we deal with nutritional solutions to all common problems, and I'm a believer that if you have enough nutrients and get rid of enough toxins, that your body can function as God created it to do. But I think instead of going on a nutritional or physical rant, I should start, well, the thing that really helps you win in life is mental and spiritual. I cannot tell you how many people I've seen that would get started, get excited, but their excitement goes away just as soon as they hit a little bump in the road. And I take my role with people very, very seriously, and I kind of mother them. And it bothers me when people die or have horrible, horrible diseases that robs their family of all kinds of opportunities. And I've seen many people that, in my opinion, died very, very early. And just because you deny it doesn't mean it's... I've had people say, well, I eat good. No, you don't. I treat too many organic farmers, and they get great benefits from doing our program as well, and they don't do anything but their own food that they grow, and that's a better quality food. And people say, well, I eat healthy, and then they, tug on their cigarette and smoke their marijuana and drink their bottle of wine, et cetera, et cetera. And it's like, well, we all have some things that we are less than perfect on. I do too. But yeah, I think you should throw in some extra nutrients to kind of insure or invest in your health. And I think the best way to do that is insure and invest in your mental health and spiritual health. Just because it bothers me when people get started and they're all excited and then they quit. And, I told one lady, and I grew up with this lady, and she said, well, I trust you. And I thought, oh, God, that's not a good sign. And I told her, what you're trying to do, first of all, you need to change your medications with the knowledge and permission of your medical doctor. And she was having some really serious brain fog, anxiety, and depression. And I said, it's going to be a bumpy road, and you have to have your MD guide you with your drugs. I don't do that, and it's going to be a bumpy road anyway. But she said, my life has lost its value. It's lost its meaning. And I said, well, you're going to have to stick with it. You're going to have the courage to really stick with it. Well, first bump in the road, she quit, and I'm praying she comes back. So, I see people, they'll try, and try is a key word for failure. People say, I'm going to try to come to your party. No, they're not going to make it 9 times out of 10. You do it or you don't do it. There's not any try. So people that try probiotics or fiber or whatever for a month, and then they don't do the whole program. That's another thing. They want to halfway.
Way.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of doing things halfway.
Way.
Yeah. And I'm kind of on my soapbox, and this is out of love, and this is because we've recently seen some people that were very dear to us that lost their life prematurely. But it's a common practice, and I think you have to examine what America has become, and we have to turn back to the values that made us great in the first place. Now it's like we want to know what the next big thing is. We're always searching for that new exciting thing. And people say, well, your program worked better than anything I've ever tried. And I said, well, how many have you tried since then? 4, 5, 6. Have they worked? No, but they keep searching for the next best thing when what they were doing was working. So that's why I ask people, listen with your discerning spirit. And if your discerning spirit says it's a good thing, the key is stick with it, jump on the train. I said that to a pharmacist yesterday, and it's like, she said, I hate drugs. She says, I hate my profession. I said, you save a lot of lives being a pharmacist, especially being a pharmacist in a hospital. She does a really good job. I said, don't hate your profession. You can do both, and that's the key, is there's no one magic answer. It's not nutrition. It's not medicine. You need a little bit of both. I love our medical profession. They've saved my butt more than once. I wouldn't have been alive without them. So get with it, stick with it, search your spiritual self, search your mental motivation. And once you get a clear direction, have the courage to stick with it. And I read books to that effect of how many people, gave up 3 Feet from Gold. That's the name of a book that I've read. It's really a good one, 3 Feet from Gold. So motivation's the main thing. And that how you feel mentally and how motivated you are comes out of your GI tract. So, and that takes time to heal. So you just have to be patient.
And the best way to motivate yourself to do what you need to with your health is to do lab work, because that just kind of puts it into perspective for you. So if you don't really know why you're gaining weight or why you feel bad, but you think you have a handle on it, the best thing I can tell people, and for people that don't know what we do here, we do low-cost lab work, and we do it across the United States because it takes the guesswork out of what you're needing. We do it at our cost. We generally run a minimum of 12 lab panels where your doctor's running 1 to 3. So, we like to have a big picture. We like to know exactly what we're working with. And I think you would be surprised out there, too, to know what's really wrong with you, because what you think is wrong is generally not even close to what really is happening. And we always ask people to go on our website to ACUT, above naturals with an S on the end.com, fill out the health survey, and then Dr. Lewis is the one that generally calls you to discuss with you the options of how to help you with your health goals. You can send us your recent lab if you have it, because that would be a good way to at least get started, but it would give him an idea of why you're not getting what you want with your health and what's missing. And if you've been told everything's fine, but you still don't feel fine, there's probably a reason for that, and it's being overlooked. So, get started today. That's a great idea for the new year, is to do your lab and have a reference point as to where you need to go with your health goals this year.
I like the technical stuff there. Thank you for handling that, because I don't want to go there. It really is very, very complicated, but the thing about it is you shouldn't be in the driver's seat. And I ask people all day long, if you're driving the bus, why are you lost? If you're driving the bus, why are you stuck in the ditch? Get off of Google. It has not worked in 10 years. Why would you keep doing something that doesn't work? And, I'm a big proponent of probiotics. And, in weight loss, you have to do a lot of probiotics. You have to continually do them because, they have an onslaught of things in our environment and in our diet that hurt or kill the probiotics. So, the more lactobacillus you have in your gut, the better your cravings. They'll go away. You'll have a tendency to start losing weight. But think about it. It takes time to get rid of 100 trillion bad bacteria and yeast. Candida.
Most people think they're doing enough probiotics, either buying it at their local health food store or they're eating yogurt. Is that what you would consider good probiotics for your gut? Is that what you're talking about?
No, yeah, that's what I'm talking about, because people get on the internet and think they know something. There's so much misinformation there, and I quoted this former Environmental Protection Agency investigator, and he says, well, and this is not me saying it, this is the EPA guy, said that Dannon yogurt, everybody says, I eat Dannon. Well, it tastes good, but it's full of sugar, which feeds the wrong ones anyway and kills the right ones. They said they had a probiotic in it that doesn't even exist. So, I'm sorry to Dannon. But no, if you're doing yogurt, it ain't working unless you're making your own.
Right. Well, when people are needing to lose weight, and is there something that's always seems to be missing with their weight loss? What is the thing you would say to people that are just needing to lose weight? What's always missing?
A whole lot of stuff, but the first place I would start is basic nutrients, and I want to talk just a little bit about that.
When you say basic nutrients, is that like a multivitamin or something like that?
That's a really, really good place to start, and I'm going to try to give you some examples of why. Okay. B1, okay, the B vitamins. You've heard of B vitamins. It's thiamine, and it has a lot to do if you have a deficiency, which is most of us because we don't eat the right stuff, which I hope I'll get to the real food pyramid you should be going to. Excuse me. The symptoms of a thiamine deficiency is constipation, edema, enlarged liver, fatigue, forgetfulness, gastrointestinal disturbances. So, ladies, if your guy passes too much gas and you can't burn it in your car, he may have a gastrointestinal problem related to a thiamine deficiency. Heart changes, irritability, labored breathing, loss of appetite, muscle atrophy, numbness in the hands and feet, especially if it's bilateral. It's not a chiropractic pinched nerve thing. So that's just B1. And then you got B2, B3, B5. I want to talk about B5. The reason I want to talk about B5 is because it's the anti-stress vitamin. And I think a good, like Janet said, a multi is the best place to start. And then you can use these individual things as you see the need. Don't just get an individual this and an individual that because it's not well-rounded. But B5 helps your adrenal glands. And who has adrenal glands that are not stressed? If you have a deficiency of this, you could have an abnormal functioning of the gastrointestinal tract. It's very helpful in treating for depression and anxiety. We have one woman that's getting it in her husband's coffee, and he quit gambling because that is a precursor to some of your happy hormones or neurotransmitters.
Now, these are items that are in like a good multivitamin, or they're supposed to take them individually?
No. Start with the multi.
Is that like something you can buy at the health food store?
It's a crapshoot.
Well, we always recommend because so many people want to swallow one pill, and that's great. It's got to be the size of a golf ball to do that. But we've actually got one that we really like called Megavites 1, and we try to get people to take 2 if they will, but 1 definitely helps. So what Dr. Lewis is talking about, they're all the different little vitamins and minerals that are individual that I don't think you could ever take all of them because there's so many of them you can get in a great multivitamin. And
it'd be kind of in the wrong ratio. You want to use these individual things with caution, with hopefully professional advice, hopefully mine. And in that Megavites 1, it's got enough vitamin D to do some good. It's got extra vitamin B12, not the cheap junk. It's the good stuff, and it's got something called 5-MTHFR, 5-methyl tetrahydrofolate.
Not cyanocobalamin.
No, cyanocobalamin is a cheap form of B12, and unless you have good hydrochloric acid, you're not going to get it. If you had good hydrochloric acid, you wouldn't need it anyway because you'd get it out of your meat. So the methylcobalamin is much more absorbable. And that goes along with that 5-MTHFR. Half of us have that genetic break, and it can be broken to different degrees. One
thing I like that's in the Megavites 1 is the chromium, because that's a natural blood sugar leveler.
So I just go lick my chrome bumper. That works, doesn't it?
Yeah, okay. Because, the one thing people, when they're trying to lose weight, they usually eat because they are starved to death, or they'll miss a meal, and then they choose to have so much more food than what they need, and the chromium helps level that so you're not so hungry.
Oh, can I interject here?
Sure.
Yeah, and that's one reason why you have cravings is because you are vitamin and mineral deficient, so your body says, I need more, because it's not getting fulfilled with nutrients, so you end up ingesting too many calories, and that also has a lot to do with how your probiotics are doing. Janet and I are experimenting with an, oh my God, big dog probiotic, and as soon as we decide it's really, really good, I know it's working for me after 2 nights of it. And then in the minerals, you're usually missing magnesium and manganese and molybdenum. How many people know the difference between manganese and magnesium, and how many people even know what molybdenum is? But a deficiency, and it's pretty common in older men, causes impotence. Well, now some of these older men with impotence I'm dealing with are 30 and 40 years old, and I don't consider that old. They said, really, you can get everything working again? I said, yeah, I can load the gun, but you have to kind of stick with it. Janet's giving me the stink eye, so I won't elaborate on that. But molybdenum gets to be a deficiency, even if you have it in there, if you have diets that are high in refined and processed foods. And same thing with manganese. And manganese has a major amount of influence on the utilization of B1, which we talked about earlier, and vitamin E. And it helps all of the B complex vitamins to give you an overall sense of well-being. How many of you wives out there know your husband's deficient in manganese just by what I'm saying? Because deficiency just in manganese can cause high cholesterol, hypertension, irritability, memory loss, muscle contractions, pancreatic damage, and on and on and on and on. So, yeah, that's a really good place to start.
So, with the new year, there's so many people that are getting on the exercise kick of let's just exercise and get ourselves into really great shape. And it says that, the foods you choose to eat are 3 times more important for controlling your weight than your exercise. Is that a statement that you would agree with?
Absolutely. I've seen people exercise themselves to death, and I mean that literally, and I'd say, no, you got enough inflammation, you got your C-reactive proteins real high, you got stress on your heart, your homocysteine sky high, so your heart's at risk, and I've seen people, I'm going to exercise my way into good health. No, some of them didn't do it. And exercise, being active is a good thing. But yes, I think diet and consumption of good nutrients is many times more important than exercise. I don't exercise, and I look great.
But there are people that are actually exercising, and then they're drinking like the vitamin water and energy drinks and those recovery drinks that have the slick marketing messages on there. Is that something you would recommend them do after they're through working out?
No, I think if they advertise the holy heck out of it, you ought to avoid it because, they do things like, put in...
Sabotage you?
Yeah, diet drinks. I cannot tell you, and we've heard this so many times. I mean, in these podcasts, we talk about it. If you're consuming, aspartame, sucralose and all that kind of junk, it actually tricks your brain into depositing 4 times more fat, and it does a lot of other worse things than that.
Well, what about fructose? Is fructose and sucralose related, or is that something different? Is fructose just as bad for you?
Well, fructose is a natural because it's in fruits, but no, it's bad. And if you have high blood sugar and obesity, you ought to very, very much limit your fruit consumption, and there's some that are lower in fructose. Fructose is killing us. It's the corn syrup and high fructose corn syrup. No, don't do it, and it's full of mercury, which fries your little kids' brains.
And if you think your sugar isn't high from it, then that is one of the... We actually test several different sugars on our lab where your doctor's generally running glucose, and I don't know how many times they've come in here and said, oh, I just need to kind of watch it. It's on the high end of like 90, 95. And so we run their 3-month blood sugar called an A1C. And then we can tell what they've been eating for the last 3 months. And it's a whole lot better average of whether your sugar is high. We have found many diabetics that didn't know they were just because they have never run an A1C. And then we can tell if what you're eating, like Dr. Lewis is talking about there, if it is good for you or not, because your insulin is another thing that we see go way high when your diet is not correct. So we have different ways of checking it. So when they come in and say, hey, I ate bad the night before, so that's why it looks like that.
Yeah, bull.
Not necessarily. So
your triglycerides will go sky high because your sugar and simple carbohydrate consumption. Folks, most people are not even close to being realistic to what they eat or how much they eat. We see people with the insulin's perfect, the A1C's perfect, and, I exercise like crazy because I'm a gym coach. It's like, and then she says, but I eat 3 times more than I need to. Well, you can eat good stuff and still be overweight. And, success leaves clues, and so does failure. And I keep telling people, when you're 100 pounds overweight and you say, I eat good, I know you're going to fail. So let's just say, hey, for example, when I gained weight 2 years ago on a cruise, I knew I did it. I didn't blame the cruise company because they forced all that good stuff on me. The food pyramid, you should eat greens, and greens. Lots and lots and lots of greens, green leafy vegetables. I'm not talking about iceberg lettuce. It's all the other stuff. Then you need to eat massive amounts of the colored vegetables, from eggplant to tomatoes and all kinds of things I've never even heard of. But if it's there, I'll eat it, unless you have a nightshade sensitivity. Then you go for the proteins, and you got to get away from the control or concentrated animal feeding operations because they're full of antibiotics and genetically modified junk. So,
well, people have this conception or misconception, I think, that if you eat healthy, you're going to be hungry. Is that true? Is like you're talking about rabbit food for them, so they can't eat.
We were at a friend's house the other day, and all we had was a biscuit for breakfast made out of almond flour. And of course, she says, "Well, it's full of calories." Yeah, but after you eat one biscuit, you're loaded up for the day because it's good, harder to digest protein and carbohydrates.
And I think that's the key, especially in the morning, is eat some protein, because by the time you realize you're starving,
bacon and eggs,
then you overeat because you are just trying to get anything in your mouth you can. So you really have to figure out how to plan your meals. You have to plan your meals.
That's really key, and people say, how do Janet and I stay so skinny? And it's like, well, I'm not skinny, but Janet is. I weigh 170-something, 5'10", but she's a little bitty thing. It's like, well, we eat so little, we might eat a handful of walnuts or a half an avocado for supper, and that's, sometimes that's it. Last night it was her cucumber, tomato, and onion salad, and that was all, and it was a small bowl of that. It's like we ate healthy and we were satisfied.
Well, because a lot of it is that we're on the proper nutrition, so our bodies aren't calling out for something that we don't know what it is, so we feed it with food, trying to compensate that. Many times it's missing minerals and vitamins.
That's true, and we want to talk about water, because some people come in and say, I just drink tap water, it's free. Well, it's already loaded up with so many contaminants. When it goes in your body, it can't grab any more contaminants and flush it out of your body. That's like saying, well, the bus is loaded to capacity, but I'm going to stick on another 45 people. No, it's full. It can't, be utilized that way. So lots of fresh, clean water. Say, let's say I weigh 180. I should drink 40 to 50% of that number in ounces of water. So,
and we tell people reverse osmosis water, because they say, what kind of water do you drink? Yeah. Well, they're going to the store and they're buying the bottled water, and you can't do it perfect because we're still living with plastics and all that kind of stuff. But there are some bottled water people out there that are making it, that's coming. One of the big companies that we have here is coming right out of our East Texas neck of the woods, where I wouldn't touch it with
from
a 10-foot pole.
From a spring in Wood County, and I had a deer lease for many years on Wood County. If you knew what went on in Wood County, oh my God, you wouldn't drink it out of a spring.
Just because it says spring does not mean you want to drink it, because people assume that means some kind of God-like crystallized pool.
Yeah, and it can be, but it's generally not. Janet and I had 2 300-foot wells, and boy, once we got the water tested, it was like, holy cow, we would not suspect there's that kind of junk in it.
Yeah, we'd be yellow if we drank that because that's what it looked like. It was yellow.
Yeah, it wasn't just good minerals in it either. It was nasty stuff from down the road from the dairy farm, et cetera, et cetera.
But your bottles will say filtered with reverse osmosis on the back of it
Yeah.
when you go to shop for water. So make sure you look for that. We actually have a reverse osmosis filtration system that we've put in that even our dogs will drink that water before they will the faucet
And
water.
so will the cats. They know the difference. Really, the vet says they're just spoiled. And it's like, well, we don't tell them. You know, they pick that innately, the clean water. They'll pick that up over even filtered water that makes ice. The other thing, you know, fruits, yeah, that's great, but you got to get them organic. And the ones that are low glycemic, I'm a big fan of the glycemic index.
Which is cantaloupe and strawberry.
And rhubarb for the northern friends, because we don't know much about rhubarb down here. And the omega-3 fats, I know we addressed this a few podcasts ago about, you know, somebody said don't do fish oil. And I've read that report. I think it's 90% fluff, smoke, mirrors, and baloney. And, yeah, he took one thing and kind of sort of true. But I think it's probably a contaminated source of fish oil. They're not all the same. All women are not the same, and neither are fish oils. Some are stinky and some are clean. Men, it's even worse, so we won't even go there. Then you want to add a lot of herbs and spices. The fresh herbs are very, very important. When Janet makes guacamole, and she'll put in fresh cilantro. And cilantro, organic, every time we can get it, that has a major, major cleaning effect of the heavy metals out of the body. So cilantro, parsley, we do a lot of that.
What about fruit juice? You said fruits don't have fruits. What about drinking fruit juices?
I think God put them in fiber for a reason, and once you extract it from the fiber, all you're doing is jacking up your blood sugar. I think it's bad, 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 bad. And, you know, how many people are obese now and how many people are just overweight? It's like when I was a kid, and I know that's a million years ago, you know, we might have one large kid per class, maybe. And now it's 2/3 of the class. Really? And I say success leaves clues, so let me be really, really, I don't know if this is good or bad, but, you know, we've talked about my friend Debbie from Midland, Odessa, somewhere out in West Texas. Success leaves clues. She's still, you know, thin. She takes care of herself, and she's made a concerted effort just to be healthy.
Yeah, they say 1 in 3 children now are obese. So there's a problem there with what we're feeding them to start with in the mornings. I mean, you can watch it. You know, you hand them crackers and cereals and all the things that are very sugary. Put milk on it so that they can get their cereal down. And you know, it's if you just watch what it is you're giving them, something fast food because you don't want to take the time to cook them something.
Scramble them an egg.
Mm-hmm. And leave the bread off. You don't have to give them a piece of bread to go with it. Because that's how it starts. It's like those kids don't have a fighting chance by the time they get older. Their genetics are already so far gone, it's very hard to reverse.
And your diet and the nutrients actually have a major effect on genetic expression, as do the probiotics in your GI tract. And we feed our grandkids probiotics every time we get a chance, and there's a lot of good things that have changed because of that. And the probiotics, you know, if you get the wrong bacteria, they extract calories. If you get the right bacteria, they extract nutrients. So that's, you know, Janet mentioned multivitamin. I think probiotics are pretty good too, but multivitamin would be the first place to start. And again, we always experiment on ourselves. We can't sell it if we don't own it in our heart. And there's some really, really, really good probiotics coming out. And people say, but I'm on a good one. I said, well, it's not doing the job. You
know, our good one is the 50 billion is the one that we really love. Our small one is a 20. So, you know, you need to look at what your label says on it, and if you can believe that it's actually in there, because it's, you know, very hard to find truth in advertising a lot of times, and that's why our products are only pharmaceutical grade, which means it's only sold to Dr. Lewis to start with. So the things we're getting in here, we know for a fact it is what it says on that label. Many times it's more than what it says on that label.
Well, they have to do that. You know, like the one we're experimenting says it has 350 billion. That's a massive amount. But it starts out with 650, just so that if there's a little bit of die-off when they ship it in the heat, you're still guaranteed to have above 350. So if it says 50, you're probably getting 60, 70, 80.
Yeah, but
more's better.
We hope we're giving you some good pillars of health to start your new year with. Like I said, go on our website to acutabovenaturals.com and fill out the health survey. Or if you know someone that's struggling with their weight or depression or not looking forward to the new year, let's go into the new year with a new attitude as well, and some health to go with it, because that really does help your attitude. And we can get the low-cost lab work for you wherever you live in the United States. There's generally a lab close to you that we use, and we go over the lab for free. We don't charge for that. It's just the cost of the lab itself. The rest of it is all complimentary. We just want to help you get the right products for your health so that you're not guessing anymore. So, Dr. Lewis, would you like to close with any final words?
Yeah, it sounds like I'm supposed to say the prayer.
It does. He generally does.
Well, I'm not eloquent and intelligent enough to be a preacher, but the main thing is feed your spirit, feed your mind. Be encouraged. Hang around people that encourage you and hold you accountable. I take more supplements out of love and respect of Janet than I do because of love and respect of myself, and I know that's a problem. I should love yourself first, myself first, like the Bible says, love your neighbor as thyself, which implies you got to love yourself first. And I think that's one of the things that's going on in the world in general, is we need to learn to love ourselves, stay off the negative social media. I'm trying to be nice here. Hang around with positive people. It can be a happy life. I'm a clear example of it. I jumped out of the circle of negativity and doom and gloom, and I've had a really, really good life. Hope to have another 40 or 50 years left. So, folks, we can help you with that. If you have a loved one that needs help, give us a call.